Tell me a story how you've used, humor to make a difference in doing marketing campaigns for your clients.
One of the needle movers for me was really writing, copywriting, always learning, always writing also so that I can see which types of content perform better. So I wrote a lot on social media, especially on Facebook. I think for 3 years, I wrote every day, like every day on Facebook. I would wake up in the morning and I would think about what I would write about that day. And it was a very good mental exercise, but also it was a good way for me to really test what people like and what people respond to. And honestly, Facebook was kind of my big source of leads when I also started my outsourcing business.
And now the man you've been waiting for, John, the sales machine, Rankins.
Ladies and gentlemen, today's guest is a serial entrepreneur, PR maven, and a sought-after advisor in helping businesses scale fast with profit-first outsourcing. She is the founder of Proximity Solutions, one of the fastest growing managed outsourcing companies in the United States and Canada. Proximity aims to make outsourcing better and smarter with 100% managed, 100% turnkey, and 100% subscription-based plans for tech and sales recruitment. She has taken her outsourcing company from 0 to 7 figures in 1 year without spending anything on ads. She has spoken at dozens of stages all over the world and has helped launch world-class brands with her PR agency. Please welcome Karla Singson.
Hey, John, thank you so much for that kind intro that I wrote. I'm super excited to be here and looking forward to a wonderful conversation. How are you today?
I'm flying. I got up at 4:50 in the morning. I just got off another podcast with the badass Niraj out of Norland. So the sales machine, I'm not going to talk about me. I'm going to talk about the purpose of the sales machine is to help business owners with real relevant things that are working right now to grow and scale their business. This is the value proposition of people spending their time, investing their time, listening in here. Karla, we've known each other for a while, and my lady follows you. And, I love what you're doing, and I love the trajectory of your growth and success. And I've been following along. And since the beginning that I met you, you've always had a sense of humor, and you've always been a standout, meaning you're not afraid of interrupting the status quo, and creating results, in a way that most people don't, right? I mean, you don't follow the crowd. So let's talk about that and your journey discovering how to remain authentic and create success.
Yeah. So thank you so much for your kind words, John. I really appreciate it. I think growing up, I grew up in the Philippines and I was the eldest child. Growing up, my parents have always told me that as the eldest child, you're going to be the one to help your younger siblings finish school, support us financially. It's just the culture in the Philippines, right? And so I felt that pressure, positive pressure to really excel. When I was younger, my parents also told us, me and my siblings, that we should master one musical instrument and one sport, at least one. And so I did that. And then I did well in school. I would say I did well in school. I won some spelling bees, quiz bees, science bees. I was like the golden child. But then I looked around me and I realized I wasn't special. There are a lot of other kids that are good at tennis or basketball, a lot of other kids better than me at playing the guitar or violin or piano, a lot of other kids in the honor roll. And I really, maybe it wasn't really conscious, but I really do want to kind of stand out and feel special. Maybe it was just like a kid wanting to feel special. And both of my parents actually were pretty obsessed also with reading and books and consuming different kinds of educational content. And so they also encouraged me to always go to workshops, improve myself. So I started going to public speaking and all that. And so I guess with the background of like always wanting excellence and also knowing that even if you excel it in one thing, it doesn't mean that you're special or that people remember you. And then I learned one of my most important marketing lessons in college, which was different is always better than better. And it really stuck in my head. You know, you're a marketing pro, and I bet you've heard of that line. And so I've always consciously thought, how can I be different from my competitors? And I've built traditional and online businesses, and it has kind of just become my theme because I've also bootstrapped all of my businesses, and I really didn't have a lot of money, so I just had to kind of guerrilla my way into it.
You're a pretty hot gorilla. You're probably the hottest gorilla I've ever seen.
I'm gonna patent that phrase, the hottest gorilla.
There you go. And I said it first, ladies and gentlemen. No one said it before me. She is the hottest fucking gorilla I've ever seen. No, I love how you use your sense of humor and your authenticity to create your marketing messages, especially for clients. So tell me a story how you've used, humor to make a difference in doing marketing campaigns for your clients.
Yeah, I love that. So one of the needle movers for me was really writing, knowing how to write, knowing, copywriting, always learning, always writing also so that I can see which types of content perform better. So I wrote a lot on social media, especially on Facebook. And it was, I think for 3 years, I wrote every day, like every day on Facebook. I would wake up in the morning and I would think about what I would write about that day. And it was a very good mental exercise, but also it was a good way for me to really test what people like and what people respond to. And honestly, Facebook was kind of my big source of leads when I also started my outsourcing business. And how we use humor is mostly, first of all, it felt good because it is my personality. And along the way, I realized there were so many other benefits to doing that, and I'll share that later. But how we do this is, I mostly just write about something funny or share a meme or share something. My favorite thing is to share something that most people are already thinking, but it's hard for them to articulate it. Or, as I joke, people who feel that they would be canceled if they say something, but are already thinking it. But I always say, no, they can't cancel me. I'm Asian, I'm female, and I was gay in college. So I'm a super minority, I'm a protected section of the society.
Hey, hot gorillas are protected species, ladies and gentlemen, and you know what? They're endangered species. You're like you make yourself stand out. I love how you use sales and marketing to sell and scale, and it really renders people defenseless. It breaks down the walls of
Mhm.
resistance and traditional, hardcore selling.
Exactly. Yeah.
Do you have a framework that you actually implement when you work with clients? And let's talk about that because, a lot of people are really serious or that, they're really, driven to do pushing sales rather than pulling hard sales.
Right, right.
The best way to sell is just by having a conversation. So let's talk about how you do that.
Exactly. No, I totally agree with you. And that's also kind of a preference thing, right? I understand some businesses will feel like outbound is the best. Outbound's doing well for them and, they spend a lot of money on traffic. But I realize that, a lot, even though that might work, the intent is not as high as if they're coming to you, obviously like inbound and they're excited to work with you. So I can share like maybe three general frameworks. Number one is I want people to remember that the best state for a lead to buy is a relaxed state. So even though we've watched Wolf of Wall Street and all of these other shows where it features super talented salespeople doing high pressure sales. And even though they can sell, you got to remember that the moment that they pull out their wallet, they're, I don't know, probably just relieved, but not really relaxed, right? Or they're paying money because they're paying something that's kind of like a Hail Mary or something like that. So if someone is nervous about spending the money, I don't even want to talk to them, because maybe it's not just the money that they're nervous about. Maybe it's other things in their life. So partially, it's also like there's an intention of being kind, right? If you have the intent to make your lead or your prospect feel relaxed when they talk to you, it means that you have the intent to help them make the decision with a clear mind. And for me, I think that intent is very positive when it comes to sales. I feel like I'm putting some coins in the Karma coin bank. I'm depositing some money in the Karma coin bank. And so when I do sales, I've done hundreds, probably thousands of sales calls in my life and pitches and everything. I work with big companies. I've pitched to big companies like Dyson, Coca-Cola, Sony. So I've pitched to all of those companies, and I always make sure that the first 5 minutes they are relaxed. Either, the most basic thing, and you guys learn this, listening to this podcast, watching John and listening to everything he teaches, that you do rapport, right? So basic rapport, where are you right now? Some people super basic, even the weather, if they have kids, finding the most basic things. And I would say developing some curiosities, some genuine curiosities, but also knowing context. And so for that would be kind of principle number 2, which I think for you to be genuine and like humorous intentionally, you have to know a lot about the world. You have to read a lot. You have to be genuinely curious. If you have the privilege to travel as much as you can, I think you have to, because let me tell you, the jokes I tell British people are not the same jokes I tell American people, right? And then I have to tiptoe somewhere.
And I have to jump in there, and how the jokes you tell the British and the jokes you tell the Americans, right, are not the same jokes you tell at home.
Exactly, exactly. So it's very different. There's context, there's media exposure. So if I'm going to talk about a certain show, they might not know it if they're from somewhere else, right? And so that you have to be kind of like a voracious reader. I always tell people you have to prepare like you're a contestant at like Jeopardy or something. You have to know everything, kind of. You have to read everything from the Bible to the back of a shampoo bottle. So and so that's why, ultimately a good salesperson, in my opinion, is someone who's genuinely curious and loves learning about life, right? So so that would be kind of my principle number 2. Principle number 3 is, I think, for you to be humorous or for you to be funny, I think that the next thing that you have to remember is that you have to also think about, like, you have to practice it. You have to practice it. It's if it's not natural for you, then you can learn it. To be honest, there are a lot of you can go on Udemy, you could go on YouTube, you can go on other places where you can learn courses. Basic improv is good. Watching stand-up comedy, timing, things like that. You can learn that. It's not as intimidating. It's just like any other skill. So, have you tried something similar, John? You're a really good speaker. So, I wonder what you've tried in the humor line of things.
Oh, you use humor in sales and marketing. My approach is sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Hookers and blow.
Yeah, no. So for me, I had to get over a lot of limiting beliefs as a child. Like you said, you wanted to stand out and stuff. Like I was a third child, grew up with a single mom on welfare, and my father left before I was even born. And so, I was just trying to get in where I could fit in. Didn't have any confidence, right? I was a small kid. I hit puberty late in high school. Fuck, that sucked. It sucked. I was 5 foot tall in the ninth grade. I thought I was Filipino, right? And I'm like, Mom, am I ever going to grow? Like, this is fucked up, right? No, but ridiculed. I was the smallest, scrawny kid, but I had a hunger that was enormous, right? And along the way, I got tired of being afraid. I got sick and fucking tired of people treating me bad. I just made a decision that whenever I'm afraid, it's go time. It's go time. I remember the first time I was asked to speak, and literally, I went from being on a nuclear powered submarine to doing sales, and one-on-one, I was cool because I have something for you. When in service, never nervous, baby.
Right, right, right.
When you come from service, and like you said, this, you read everything. So like even in the Bible, give and you shall receive. And I really just learned to get over myself and learn that when I'm in service, I'm not nervous. It's whenever I start thinking about what do these people think about me, or am I doing it right? And those limiting beliefs and fears come up. That's what holds you back. Because when you're authentic and you don't give a shit what people think, and you really do put it out there that you want, sales is something I'm doing for you, not to you. So, you talked about relaxing the customer, relaxing the client. So I offer massages to do that.
Happy ending too?
I really like you. So you talked about being relaxed, right? Yeah, because, high pressure sales and people, that don't come from service and use high pressure and stuff like that, they're really pushing your buttons of fear. But after that, there's buyer's remorse and they're never coming back again. That's not sales. That's scamming. There's a difference between scamming and selling. So Zig Ziglar said it better than anybody. Sales is service. And then I expound on it by saying, and when you're in service, never nervous. Number two, it's about solving problems, which is exactly what you're saying with curiosity. How can you be curious about who the client is? What do they want? What are the challenges they're facing? How can you help them solve their problem? And finally, be satisfied. Because what I know about Karla Singson is she's very successful because she has long-term relationships with her clients, like Air Asia, like Sony, like all these things you do. It's really SSS, service, solving problems, and making sure your clients are satisfied. You do it with humor. And so, my biggest challenge was, speaking on these stages, I was literally terrified. Terrified. Like I would go up and grip the podium and I'd be sweating, right? And eventually I'm like, I fucking had enough of this. I own this. I own this. I know who I am. I know what I do. I know how I do it. And I know I do it for you. When you only become unstoppable when you become fearless. It's uncomfortable, right? If you really want to become unstoppable, you got to be willing to get uncomfortable. And I was uncomfortable on a lot of stages because, there's billionaires out there, people that created a lot more than me. But I learned something from Tony Robbins. He said, he said to me, John, in your own experiences, you will always, your experiences and what you learn from them give you superiority over your experiences because they're yours. You own them. And no one is superior to anyone, but you're superior in your own experiences. And when you can bring that to the table, and when people are open to letting other people's greatness come in, then they should be open to Karla, the hot gorilla, coming into their business and scaling it for them. Make sense? So
Yeah.
enough about me. Enough about me. What's the best advice you've received, and how did ever in business that has allowed you now because you scaled your business to 7 figures in a year, right? But it's not what you did this year that allowed you to do it. It's what you've been doing for the last, well, I'd say 7 years. Cause I mean,
15 years.
I
Yeah,
know, but I can't say that because then,
right. You'll get canceled. You're a heterosexual white male. People love to cancel you.
yeah, that's right. That's okay.
Yeah, no, thanks for that. So,
Yeah. I have a motto for
what?
that.
What's your motto?
Next.
Yeah. So, yeah, I've learned a lot through, my 15 years in business. The last thing I want to share about, using humor in your marketing to really push in encouraging people to at least give it a try. It helps with tying awkward conversations. If you put a little bit of humor to that, it's not going to be as awkward. And these conversations will happen when you're in business. Like, for example, one of my favorite follow ups that I used to send my sales leads, and I already apologize to my husband for this because I did this when I was single, was I did, if you don't pay your invoice within 24 hours, I will fuck your dad. So it was super funny, and some of my leads were like, "Oh my gosh, this is so funny!" And but some of them like remembered me, and they thought that that was really just kind of chill and cool. um, Another thing that I noticed is that the more relaxed and fun loving your culture is as a company, clients are also more patient and forgiving. So no business is perfect, right? Even Amazon has returns, 1-star reviews, and all those things. So your business will not be perfect. But if you have a relaxed culture and if you use humor a lot, then yeah, you can apologize to your client, but because they have this positive impression of you and positive experience of working with you, they're actually more forgiving, which translates to a little bit more points in the client success side of things. And the last benefit that I want to share is you as a leader and your leadership. Your team is, you don't know how they feel during regular days. Your life as a founder is very different from their lives. But if they see that their leader is a happy person, is a positive person, is a person that can put humor even in difficult conversations, it helps your team become better, become also more relaxed, not just your sales people, your prospects, but your entire team. And I think it's just better for business in general. And so, to your question of what is the best lesson that I've learned, I think it is your name is your best asset. So, we've all gone through some difficult times in the economy. Some even went through calamities, right, that affected their business. And I've learned from many years of kind of starting over, starting a new business, starting over in a new country, which I've done twice, um, is that as long as you have a good name and a clear evidence or a clear track record of making things work, it's really, really hard to fail. And so my biggest cash cow actually before the pandemic was my events company. Had a really successful events company in the Philippines. I was the sole proprietor, made good money, and we have an amazing downtown office. We were serving these big companies and big nonprofits. And then the pandemic happened. So I lost that cash cow. I had another traditional business, a flower shop, also affected by the pandemic. And so that was actually the time I got an investment to start an outsourcing company. And I did that with a partner, but because I had good reputation and a track record of making things work, it was my partner had the confidence to do that. So after that, we parted and dissolved the partnership. I started my own outsourcing company, so it felt like starting over again. I actually announced on Facebook I'm doing a venture like loan. I'm not giving away equity, but I wanted to borrow money from some of you guys. I have a track record of making things work. I literally said that, and they can look this up also. And I had the help that I needed, and it was pretty successful. So yeah, that's my favorite lesson because I think that you'll go very far if you remember that one thing.
Yeah, and it's your authenticity, Carla. People gave you money because you were straight up authentic. Look, I have a track record. I've been doing this a long time. I've achieved a lot of success, and I'm starting over and I'm looking for investors. And people put money out there to you because you didn't burn bridges. And I think business is cyclical. There's winter, spring, summer, and fall. And I've been in all those seasons. And anybody, that's been in, I've literally been in business for 30 years. I've had lots of failures. I've had more failures than I've had successes. The greatest skill of all for me is resourcefulness. Even though you ran out of resources, your ability to be resourceful is your superpower, and you're authentic at the same time. That's an endangered species.
Right. Yeah, that's very helpful for sure. Especially a lot of things in the economy now are getting more and more unpredictable, right? The money market is like, what's going on? We really don't know what's going to happen. So you're absolutely right. Being resourceful and having a good track record is one of the best assets we can have.
Yeah, and we talked about automation now. So let's talk about AI, right? Because I know you're at the forefront of always looking at technology, automation to help your clients. What do you think people can do right now, and or what are you doing right now? Most importantly, to use AI for yourself and your clients.
Yeah. So I think that the most important thing for us, because what we do is that we help business owners scale through outsourcing. We start by helping them with role consulting, perfecting the role of the person that they need, and then providing a really good job description, because a lot of people are really not skilled at doing that. A lot of entrepreneurs are born leaders, but they're not like natural hirers. Hiring is a totally different thing, especially if they want to outsource to the Philippines, then we can really help a lot with that. And so first we told our team that these are kind of the basics that you should learn. So we definitely educated our team with basic like prompt engineering and really the thinking process of what's the best way to use. For example, this is the most basic, like chat GPT. How are you going to tell it to do the things that you want it to do? So we repeatedly educated our team on that. And I will be honest with you, they were scared they're going to lose their jobs. We have a lot of virtual assistants, a lot of project managers, client success managers, appointment setters. So they were scared of losing their job, but I just had to open their eyes that this is actually going to make you guys smarter, and that this should also motivate you to um, be better at developing your natural intelligence. And so I gave them the basic example of, yes, we have a calculator, but you still gotta know how to do arithmetic in your head. Otherwise, you're gonna be fucked someday, somewhere. You know what I mean? Like, if you're looking at your bill at the restaurant and they gave you the wrong tip, you gotta know instinctively. Otherwise, you're gonna get taken. So I always remind them that. And so I think general education was definitely a lot of our investment in terms of understanding principles of AI. And then beyond that, what we're doing with AI is also continuously really learning the business of our clients, really understanding, because the way that we do outsourcing is not, okay, Carla, here are some tasks. Can you please make someone just do this? But what we do is, what are your goals for your business? We really like work with them, and then we help them. So we work with consultants. We have people in our team, our client success managers. They're super ahead, actually, honestly, more ahead than me in terms of figuring out these different automations. So I think openness, if our clients are just really open, and depending on how they feel about AI too, is makes a lot of difference.
And AI is not going to replace all the people. The people who are using AI are going to replace the people who don't know how to use AI.
Yeah.
it's a co-pilot, right? So, and it's a mindset, and if you want to scale up your success, it's about mindset, skill set, and if you want to retain all your people, it's about heart set, right?
Mm,
Actually, actually giving a damn, right? I got that
yeah.
giving a damn. My lady showed me a clip of a Gary V, and I had dinner with Gary V, and he's a cool cat. We talked about me automating the sales machine, and he loves the
Hmm.
idea. And it's not an idea anymore.
Right.
It's a sales performance management system on steroids that
Right.
even hot gorillas can use. It's just there's not very many hot gorillas. So fuck, I can empower a team of 5 or 5,000 to drive performance. I always say, when I work with clients and or companies, you got to have the right psychology, methodology, and implement technology. Otherwise, you're going to get left behind. And truth be told, I was failing before managing 3,000 salespeople. I just could not keep up anymore. I was dropping the ball. Outdated products, outdated service, outdated training. And, I felt like a total failure until I realized, wait a minute, what the fuck am I thinking? I need to take responsibility, go back and crack the code, and completely changed my approach and was open to learning and growing. And so we all have blind spots, Carla, right? And we go from those blind spots, especially when we're in it. Like I just had Keenan from Gap Selling on the podcast, right? And he's a total badass. And he was talking to me about, he's going to hit his number 10 million, and everything he teaches and implements in other companies. A lot of the times it doesn't happen even in his own company. He's like, fuck, we're not even doing the stuff I teach in my own company. I'm so busy out there saving the world, scaling all these businesses, and instead of doing 10 million, we should be doing 20 million, but we're not. Right. And so I have the same blind spots. You have blind spots. But I want to
Right.
talk about, what do you think is the biggest challenge for your clients and the blind spots that they don't see that you do? And how do you make them aware so that they can evolve?
Mm, I love that. I love that question. What I love actually specifically about that question is that sometimes the solutions that we sell and what we call them are actually not the best thing that we help our clients with, and it's pretty surprising when we find out what really is the best thing. And so in my business in outsourcing, a lot of my clients come to me saying, "Hey, I don't have time to hire. I don't have time to vet, do the background checks. Just give me the top 3 candidates. I want to interview them and decide, and then let's go." And so we do that. Yes, we do that for them, and they choose someone. But then we realize that they are not very skilled at, say, onboarding. What is the perfect way to onboard someone? What should you prepare? So we prepare a lot of things that aid in this, like basically that lubricates the process, right? So we have ways. So we have ways to analyze a client's leadership style, communication style. We coach the remote professional, or we coach the VA about these things. We develop success metrics and a proper scoreboard. And then on an ongoing basis, because we operate on a subscription type process, we also provide ongoing coaching. So you are not only buying hours for your VA, project manager, whatever, you're actually buying a certain result and a type of person that you really want to grow with in your company. So I'll give you an example. We place a lot of appointment setters, and some of these setters go on phone calls. And so if you grow up in the Philippines, you speak amazing English. See, my Filipino accent came out there. Um, you speak good English, but it's not perfect like American accent, right? No matter, even I lived in the States for a few years, it's not even perfect. So what we do is we provide ongoing accent training from native speakers and help them improve every week and coach them through that. The client success manager looks at their results, at their conversion rates, and if it's down, she can also coach them up. And so I think that the blind spot the clients usually have is in our line of work is number one, a lot of them really are not very skilled at onboarding, and number two, a lot of them are not very skilled or not invested in. And let me say, just to be clear and transparent, this is not their fault. It's just not their focus, and that's okay. That's why companies like us exist. Number two, they're not that focused or invested in ongoing development. And so you got to remember, guys, that all of your employees and all of your teammates are also rooting for you to succeed. And if they are set up properly, they could be amazing members of your team. So we help make that happen for our clients.
Right on. So, yeah, a lot of times the blind spot or the problem on the surface is just a symptom. It's not really the problem, right? And then what I love that you go deeper with your clients, because otherwise, you're doing sales malpractice, just like medical malpractice, right?
Exactly.
And they're not going to come back. So tell me about what is the number one thing that you've ever learned that has allowed you to have your resourcefulness and pivot in business?
I would say that there is sometimes not a better investment than silence and sitting with yourself. Um, in the pandemic time, I had this realization that a lot of people, including myself, live our days switching from one screen to another. And you wake up, you look at your phone, and then you maybe go on the treadmill, watch something, and then you watch TV while you eat, and then you go to your laptop and work. And it's like a lot of screens, right? And then we're so distracted. There's a lot of types of media being bombarded. We stayed home with our kids, so they're in our face all the time. I think a lot of people didn't have a lot of time to kind of sit with silence and just think themselves. And in my experience, a lot of my business problems got solved because I already had the answers in me. I already knew what to do. I just didn't have enough time to sit with myself. And so I think I'm trying to do that, start my day right, meditate, journal. And then if I'm facing a huge problem that I especially need to be resourceful in, like you said, it's really hard to find solutions if your world is too noisy. And so let me give you an example. I have a big project with the United Nations last week, and it was like a $43,000 project, and it needed me to send money to the Philippines, to send 20,000 to the Philippines, and I learned about this like Friday night. And so you know how it is with like weekend banking, right? And so I had to really be resourceful. I had to think of ways. Instead of panicking, I sat with myself and I'm like, okay, what can I do? What can I do that, to solve this? And so that really helped. I was able to solve the problem. And a few Bitcoins later, we were able we were able to, not even one whole Bitcoin, so we only needed 20,000, but we were able to find solutions for that huge problem where in another time I would just kind of be stressed out instead of going back to, oh, you know what, I have the answers, I have the resources, I just have to be better. So yeah, that helped me a lot. What about you?
What about me? Well, thanks for asking. Yeah, in chaos, most people fucking melt. I've been under some extreme conditions to where, I don't want more, but I'm fine with them. I'm fine with it. But so for me, I've dealt with a lot of chaos since I was a little boy. I've been in the military on nuclear powered submarines when we lost all power. I've been on a couple planes that, almost crashed. Fuck. It's crazy. But in the real world, right? Like you talk about people on screen time and stuff. I know there's a way to live my life and be productive most of the time. I'm always going to have obstacles and challenges. You can live your life. You choose how to live your life. You're either proactive, non-active, or reactive. And if people are always in reaction, and sometimes, even me, I have to catch myself. But my methodology, right, is I wake, create, and dictate my life. And the way I do that is the first thing I do when I get up in the morning is I stop the world. I take time out. I'm in charge, right? I'm not, I don't control others, but I'm in charge of what my life and whatever I'm doing. So the first thing I do is I wake, I meditate. I don't check phone. I don't check email. I don't let anything distract me from me being grounded. And then I pick up my life mastery playbook that I wrote. And I wrote this because I went to a Tony Robbins seminar, right? And when I was young, and everybody's asking me, what life management system do you use? What life management system? And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? What do you mean life management? I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. No one gave me blueprint for success in life. I'm just trying to figure shit out, right? So along the way, I started creating a system for my life, right? And when I had my son Sky, before I had him, I wanted to give him something because I was climbing Mount Kilimanjaro the day after I found out my lady gave me the ultrasound. And I took that and I climbed Mount Kilimanjaro and took a photo of it and him. But then I had a TV tour for this book. But the truth is, I wrote it for Sky because I never had a father. And I think, I don't regret anything in my life. I fucked up. I made mistakes. I did bad things. And, I was just lost. I was a lost soul for a while. Right. But I wrote this so that if anything happened to me, he knows how to win in life. So life is a game. You got to keep score. So I keep score every day, and I use this. You can see. Obviously my writing's not very good, but I go for the top 5 every day, right? So first and foremost, I set up my day, wake, create, and dictate. Here's where I dictate. The first thing I do is I write down one goal, not 3, not 5, 1. Then I write down, so that's number 1. Number 2, what is my priorities? What are my top 5 priorities for the day? If it's more than 5, it's bullshit. You're not going to get it done. Number 3 is who are the game changers? You become who you spend time with, or the level of your success is based on the 5 people you spend the most time with. So every day, who are game changers? Like I'm with you today, Karla. You're a game changer, right? Earlier, I was with Niraj, right? So if they're not in my environment, I go out and find them. And I created the Sales Machine podcast to help other companies. So number 4 is, what am I grateful for? So you want to have a great attitude? Gratitude.
Right.
And I'm grateful every day. And then number 5, what are my wins? And I do that every day. And then every week I take a time out. That's my life management system, because no one had one that I could comprehend that was effective, that was results oriented. And if you want to be resourceful and you're in crisis, what you need to do is take a time out. And I like to pray. I'm a radical, but I like to play. And you use humor. I'm disruptive, right? And I don't care, because I know I think the greatest skill we can have is being resourceful, and then forgetting about approval. You don't need any. just go out there and do it. If people can do it, look at Karla, a Filipina, super successful, not just in her hometown of Davao, right? But she's went global and she's created success for some of the biggest companies in the world. So when you're authentic and you're resourceful and you don't live in reaction and you set up systems, that's why I built the sales machine. It's a system, right? I built another thing called the ultimate success formula. And I wrote a book called Millionaire Insider Secrets. I'm writing the book, The Sales Machine, how to build and scale a multi-million-dollar company. And I just had some Japan colleagues, 28 business owners come here, right? And they're asking me, so John, why did you build this? Why did you write the ultimate success formula? I'm like, guys, this is to remind me.
Right,
And for me
exactly.
to stay on point, and I don't talk about it. I don't sell this book. You can't buy it. The only way to get the Life Mastery Playbook, you have to pay for a smile for a little Filipino child, and then I'll give you the book. Otherwise, it's not for sale. It's for, I fix smiles. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they asked me, why do I just created a new framework. You'll like this. It's called Fabulous.
What's that?
For businesses and companies to be fabulous, and if you want to be successful and have raving fans, make your clients as successful as possible using the Fabulous framework. So what is the features, the advantages, and benefits of your product and service? That's fab. I call it Fabulous.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, actually, I want to share something. I actually have a copy of your Life Mastery Playbook. You gave me one, and I want to thank you for that. I love that book. I still have it. I still have it in my house in Davao, and I visit there yearly. And it's kind of heavy, right? I'm a small notebook girl, so let me show you my notebook. So this is like my notebook. It's so tiny. It's like my hand. But I know. It's so small. But I want to share here that I really love your Life Mastery Playbook, and whenever I use it, whenever I write there, because like physically it's like bigger than my regular notebook. First of all, it encourages me like mentally to like think bigger, but also I love that it is very positive. It is very positive, and you're awesome at marketing. So obviously, like even the colors, the layout. I'm gonna become like a design geek here, but I love it. It's wonderfully like designed to prompt positive thoughts during the day. So for anyone listening, find your way to threaten John Rankins to get a copy. No, yeah, they're gonna find their way to get their hands on that. But I want to thank you for that book because I genuinely personally loved it and I still keep it.
Right on. I use it every day, every day, every day. It keeps me on point. So I don't allow the world to distract me. And, COVID was like a black swan event. I tripled my business, but we pivoted immediately. It hasn't been sustainable. I've had to move on from what was working then, doesn't work now. Right.
Right.
But it's all about, being resourceful. And, I think what people don't consider, they get stuck inside their box, is reaching out to someone to solve their problems.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm fine with paying experts, especially someone like you, Karla, to help me solve my problems because it brings a fresh perspective. And, you can hire a lot of people that are not experts and they're really taking the job to learn on the job. And then when they're skilled up, they move on, right? So there's power in hiring experts. And a lot of the time, the talent is not there. That's a fact because the greatest people, they already have a job. They're already in a job, right? Or they're successful. So if you want experts, you got to have an expert or find somebody outside the organization to do it. I have several companies that I work with and consultants because they are experts. And then I have some experts on my team, but the most challenging part is finding people, and you do that for people. So I absolutely love that. How can people find you the most convenient way so you can serve them, solve their problems, and bring experts into their business so that they can scale?
Yeah, well, thank you for that. I truly believe in the Filipino talent, and I really believe that Filipinos are not just VAs. We're so much more than that, and I that is like my super big kind of vision and mission to show the world that. And so our company is called Proximity Outsourcing. You can just go on proximityoutsourcing.com. You'll find a calendar there if you want to talk to a member of our team. And just to get advice, even if you're not ready, so that you'll know what you want to prepare to get ready, what are your goals in your business, and if it's a good fit, and then we can present how we can work together. You can also follow me on social media if you want to see my filthy memes and jokes. I'm Karla Singson on Facebook. You can just type Karla, KarlaSingson on Facebook, or on Instagram, Karla Stefan, Stefan. That's my second name. But yeah, I'm excited. Feel free to message me if you have any questions. I'm excited and happy to help anyone who's really looking to scale their business.
Yeah, and if you want to save 50% or 75% off the people that you're using in your business, because look, I've ran a business in the United States. I've been in business for 30 years, and there are so many different challenges with hiring in America, from a head tax, workman's compensation, mandatory insurance. It's expensive to run a business, right? So even if you're just considering how to cut costs and not just scale your business, it's worth having a conversation and just looking at what would the investment be compared to, what it costs to run a business. And it's not about not doing, not taking care of Americans and stuff like that. It's about being resourceful so that you can take care of your family, and scale your business with more opportunity for the experts in America. So reach out, have a conversation, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, thank you, John. It's been such a great honor, and I had a lot of fun. And yeah, on the point that you made about like it's a great time to outsource. It's not just also like, keeping the jobs where they should be. It's also giving people a chance to start a business, to start their dream business with the least amount of risk, right? So the price difference alone, a lot of people have, maybe with the huge kind of tech layoffs happening in America right now, a lot of these people, not just some, are really struggling to find better paying jobs. Prices are rising. And so now might be a great time to start a business and for them to trial and error some things, try some things with the least amount of risk. And I would say, even if we don't work together, definitely, guys, definitely check out just outsourcing. It just opens your world to the talent of the rest of the world, and it's super amazing.
You're awesome, ladies and gentlemen, from the hot gorilla.
Thank you, John, and thank you so much, Sales Machine. I had so much fun, and see you around, and hope to catch some laughs with you.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to send a review about what you liked on this podcast, or share it with somebody who would need it to definitely improve their business, building and scaling sales teams, do me a favor, like, share. It means a lot to me so that we can help others grow and live in abundance. That's a wrap, folks. Thanks for joining me today. And if you got value from this episode, do me a favor, like, subscribe, and refer a friend. And if you want even more value, go to thesalesmachine.com, click on resources, and there's tons of resources there to increase profits and drive performance in your business. Right on, come on.